Welcome to The Growth Shift, the podcast where we unlock the psychological and strategic blueprints of predictable growth. If you've built a successful business, you know the truth. Your expertise is high value, but your time is finite. The question is, how do you sustain that success without sacrificing your most valuable asset? We believe that the next level of success requires a strategic pivot, a fundamental shift that moves beyond the old ways. In every episode, we dive into the critical turning points of industry leaders and uncover how they're leveraging AI not as a shortcut, but as the strategic force for their next growth shift. Today, we dive in with a leader who is defining the future of their industry. This episode is brought to you by Valentix, your strategic growth partner. At Valentix, we believe that trust and authentic relationships are the only true currency in high-value business. We challenge the status quo by building an AI-powered client acquisition engine that enhances your human connection, helping you move beyond the slow growth of referrals. Our AI-powered systems eliminate the grind, allowing you to break through the noise, automate tasks, and free up your time to focus on transformative client impact. If you're ready to build a predictable growth engine, learn more at valentix.io. Now let's dive into today's episode. Today on The Growth Shift, we're joined by Carola Cazenave, the visionary founder of CX04. Carola's career is a fascinating journey of global leadership and strategic transformation, having spent 3 decades in corporate IT and software, including pivotal roles at IBM, where she was instrumental in creating a global center of excellence. Now, through CX04, she brings a fractional model to smaller companies, helping them scale by optimizing operations, automating processes, and strategically reinvesting for rapid growth. Her insights into leadership, culture, and the art of making hard decisions about human capital in an AI-driven world will provide invaluable perspectives for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, David.
It's great to have you on the show today. Carola, your career spans 30 years in corporate IT and software, starting in Argentina and moving to the US with IBM, where you became a global executive leader. Tell us a little bit more about the journey that you had and some of the lessons you learned along the way, which put you in this position you are now today.
Well, I could take 3 hours, but I will try to summarize it. I honestly always wanted to be in a corporation. My father and mother worked. They were doctors or psychologists, so they were not in the corporate business. And I had no idea how to do it. And I decided, first of all, to study computer science, to be in IT. That was absolutely new. Nobody had a computer in their houses in that moment. Imagine the situation. And I decided that I wanted to enter into IBM. In that moment, no email, no nothing. So I had to go with my CV to IBM and hand it over 25 times till they decided to finally interview me and finally hire me as an intern, because I was studying still computer science. And that is how my journey in IT and corporate began. And it was an awesome journey where I had opportunities all the time. And I learned how to build opportunities for yourself and how to grow in a corporation that was male dominant. And of course, Argentina was a little bit far away. So getting into the US after and then in global roles has been a blast, and I have learned so much. And I owe a lot, not only to my fantastic bosses and coaches in IBM, but also I owe a lot to Pega and to Rocket and to many other companies that I work with. So I'm very grateful, and I hope that I can share some of that experience.
Yeah, that's an incredible story of perseverance, starting with perseverance, right? Handing in your CV 25 times before you got interviewed just to be an intern in the beginning. And then, of course, persevering in an industry, as you said, was male dominated at the time. I mean, for other listeners or for the listeners in the show who might also feel like they're in a position where their industry or what they're pursuing is dominated by others who don't look, sound, or seem to be like them, what are some of the key strategies or lessons that you learned to apply to your journey through IBM that helped you break through this industry dominated by others not like you?
Well, first of all is making the decision of what you want. That usually is the most difficult thing to do, right? Having clarity on what you really want. It seems easy to say. It's very difficult when you're 21 years old or 20. What do I want to do? There's so many things, right? But well, even if you have 5, in fact, in that moment, I had 2 very clear, different, totally different. One was putting my own gym, imagine. The other one was entering in a incorporation. So it was absolutely different. And in that moment, what I said is, what will make me more money? That was my second question to decide. When you don't know, okay, money talks. So that's why I went to IT and corporation. And so first thing is having the decision of what you want. Second, persevere. Third, tell people about it. Share what you want, because amazingly, the things begin to connect and you get it. It's amazing how things begin to connect in the world. And now even more than before, right? That we didn't even have any social media. So that is what I would say is the critical 3 success factors.
Oh, that's fantastic. So perseverance, of course, but staying laser focused on that goal and not being afraid to share what that goal is with others or put those desires and wishes out there. Because I think by doing that, I mean, perseverance alone, people recognize when you are relentless and you're not willing to quit. And when you speak about a goal and you continue to speak about it and pursue it, people take note of tenacity like that. So I'm sure it of course, and clearly it brought you quite the distance within IBM. And, this was a little while ago, of course. And as I understand it, IBM company, everybody knows the name, but it's gone through some pretty transformative and seismic changes, we could say, through time. I understand that one of the biggest changes is something that you lived through. Now, tell us a little bit more about, that growth shift moment and how you got through it.
Well, first of all, IBM has transformed. It was a pleasure to be there 26 years because it was never the same company. It was transforming. And if you see IBM today and you see it when I entered 30 years ago, it is a different company. I'm very proud of how they have shifted and transformed. Now, I was in Argentina, so I was in a very small portion in that moment. And this growth shift that I'm going to talk about was, I would say, the first one that taught me that my career was in my hands and that you can do something relevant even if the company is so huge that you say, oh, my impact will not be seen. Your impact is seen. So what happened in that moment was there was a major economic crisis in Argentina, 2001. The market went down. I was there. I was a new manager already because I entered in 94 and I became a manager pretty quick. And basically they told our managers that we needed to reduce by 90% the company. It was not only my department, it was the whole company because of this phenomenal crisis that one day we can talk about. Long story. But basically we had to reduce 90% of the company. That meant reducing a company that was 3,000 employees to 300, 400 employees in the whole IBM Argentina. So of course, the general managers did a lot of good things that I learned from. But in my case, I had to shut down several things, and I was worried about the people, and they were not going to be able to find another role. It was going to be difficult. But these people were very good, and they were very dedicated. So I began offering to other countries and to the US, to global, what if these people could help you in things that you don't need to do in this moment in the US or in Europe? And without even knowing that existed already today exists as a name, I created Center of Expertise. So I created Center of Excellence, and we began providing. In that moment, the web was beginning. If you remember, e-business was beginning, 2001. So I said, hey, I make the web. So let me build the web for all Latin America, and then and then I build it to all the Spanish, English, and Portuguese languages from Argentina, and then we open Brazil as well. So then that team today continues to exist. It's a 300 people team that they do a lot of services to the world from Argentina and Brazil. So that is how you really innovate, how you can help, and that helped the people. That helped IBM because they reduced cost at the end. And that helped me making a win-win for everybody. That is what you usually have to look for, right? And for me, it made a win-win because I converted myself on the manager of that team. So at the end, it all worked. But basically, it was a very good shift in my head of, always bring new ideas, always go and be innovative, and don't be scared. You can, the worst thing they can tell you is no.
Couldn't agree more. And that's incredible. Just your ability to think of outside the box and look at new ideas, especially having been brought up in a corporate environment. A lot of people in corporations struggle to have new ideas and think outside of the box because they're generally operating within rules and frameworks and guidelines and red tape. And it's hard to break out of that, but you showed very promising early signs of that entrepreneurial spirit and the ability to solve problems, and not just, or problems that, to bring new solutions to problems that would come, not necessarily ones that exist right now. That transformation, a 90% reduction in staff. And as a manager, you must have been looking at what was happening and thinking, we're losing so many resources, so many people, so many functions that used to be so important. How are we going to continue to operate on such a lean staff? Tell us a little bit more about the shifted mindset that you had to go through with such a drastic downsizing.
Well, again, the country was in a huge transformation itself, right? It was in a huge economic problem and economic situation. So the market was like many times we have seen in the US, like when you say, oh my God, nothing is happening, everything has stopped. So it's not that we had thousands of clients calling us, because everybody was like waiting to see what was going to happen. So the key thing was in my case, I did that. I transformed the whole thing, and I converted myself the manager of that. So I left even my position. By the way, it was occupied by another person that was not fired, thanks to me innovating on this. And well, you have to reduce, and you have to say, I do these things, these ones we don't do them anymore. And you begin trying to be more productive. Like what we do today with AI, but today we have AI to help us, right? Before, it was just less hands. Today you can prioritize, you can think what is the most important impact, and you will decide on what are the key things that you have to have people doing and taking care of, because they are your core. They will make your business be stable, and the ones that you can really or leave or not do anymore, or make some process, or I was a computer scientist, so I was doing a programming of something. It was not AI, but it was kind of a little bit of making a process a little bit more automatic, right? So it was the beginning of all that. So yes, that is what you do. You think, you prioritize, and you relentlessly focus again.
Absolutely.
Same.
So those experiences really taught you a lot about adaptation and innovation, efficiency, and a whole lot more as well, which is, as I understand it, the foundation of what you're doing today at CXO4. You work with smaller companies and providing fractional leadership to help them scale and grow faster by reducing waste and automating processes with an innovative approach. Tell us a little bit more about CXO4 and what you're doing today.
Well, and in fact, one thing that before I go there, that is is everybody says it, but when you are 20s, you don't see it. Everything that you do will pile up till you get to a moment that you have like a ecosystem of things that you can take advantage of to make your own company. And that is what I did in CXO4. So my first aha moment or experience was that, making my own center of excellence, let's call it. The second aha moment I had was, I love working with business partners, and I love working to see how to make a win-win out of a business to really make both companies scale. And in IBM, in a moment, I was the ecosystem leader for software. First in my country, then Latin America, and then that is how I came to the US as a global leader. And I'm passionate in that. And that was what makes me get into more entrepreneurship. There is where I began working with business angels. I became a business angel myself because I wanted to invest on companies while I was still on IBM. So that was another stepping stone, right? The third one was like, okay, I became a global leader. I began knowing different cultures. I traveled to more than 100 countries in the world. I have been talking with different cultures, understanding the most I can, because you will never understand a culture unless you live on it. But understanding and trying to capture the important things for them and how to help them do their best, instead of me telling them what to do, because as a leader, global leader, I cannot know how in China they need to do something, or in Japan, or in Vietnam, or in Indonesia. I am not somebody that will be able to tell them how to do it. They know. because they are the ones leaving. So all of that helped me to build CXO4. And CXO4, basically what we do is helping these companies that are scaling up, that are entrepreneurs, that again, I love and is my passion, to grow and to scale without failing with obvious things. Meaning, I love the fail fast concept. Fail fast. Love it. But don't fail fast with obvious things, right? Don't lose your time on failing on obvious things. So the fractional leader that has been in corporation like I had during 30 years, they have been in different roles. They have been in smaller countries, bigger countries, global. They can help you for a fraction of what they cost, really, because that's why they are fractional, to really scale your company faster and without stepping on the stones that are obvious. So then you have the time to stepping on the real stones and to really be innovative, because you can do the scaling up faster with somebody that really knows what they are doing.
And, I love how you put it, the center of excellence that you built, right? It's not just business processes or acumen. It's not technical processes or computer programming necessarily in itself, but it's also the understanding of the people, the objectives that they want to achieve, how it is that they do so in their own environment and in their own culture. And especially in the startup world, for companies who don't just want to be national, but global, they want to break into international markets, you need to have an understanding of not just how things work where you are, but how, your systems, processes, solutions are going to solve problems outside of your current scope of understanding. So it's a pretty incredible center of excellence that you bring to your clients with your own experience, we could say. Do you have any stories that you might be able to share with us about how it is you came and you applied your knowledge and understanding to help a startup scale, and what really happened as a result?
Yeah, let me give you two examples. One is a US example, and one is expanding to another country example. A US example is a company. They were being very successful in helping a set of a specific type of clients. This is a company in the US that they are in the federal government, and they are working with their clients to help them get some fundings from the government. Once they get these fundings from the government, they build a product and they help them sell this product in several places to ensure that the prototype works, and then they begin scaling up as companies. What was happening to these companies that they did all that hard process of finding the funding, making the prototype with them, begin selling, and once the company was ready, they went because they were ready. And they were like, we are missing the fun part. We are missing the scale. So they called us, and we are creating, because we are working with them already. We have been working for them for 1 year. We created a program for them to scale now. So instead of them using their own people to do also the second part, they were going to be doing bad their initial job. They didn't want to stop doing well their job. So they hire us to make the second phase. When they are on the point that they can now scale and grow as companies, they come to us and we help them with their value proposition. We help them connecting with each other, and we help them quoting to different accounts and growing in their business.
I want to jump in here for a moment. You mentioned a few minutes ago helping clients avoid the obvious problems and failing fast, but failing fast on the right problems, we could say. Was there anything from your memory that stood out with this client in terms of those small problems that you helped them realize, like, this is not what you should be focusing on, or this is the obvious solution, let's focus on those big problems and fail faster there?
That is a very good point. One of the key things first of all, what we told them is, don't spend your time thinking, how are you going to build this program and this platform? We know it. Leave it to us. We do it. We told them, hey, these are the lines. They said, yes, we did it. They didn't spend a second of their mind focused on that, because we knew how to do it. So we did it for them. So that is one example. Another example is we began with this process, we began growing here, and they began to stagnate here, meaning they began to have less clients coming in because of the situation of federal and the government that in the US everything got stuck, so it was not them. But they said, we need to see how we link these two things faster. So now we are in the process of connecting them with our customer SAT, the customer experience expert in my team that is called Claudia, to ensure that she builds now a connection between when the client has the money already, but they need to begin connecting with the scale. Okay, how do we do that connection with those clients? So basically, when we see a gap, we interject and we say, hey, do you want us to help you here? And if they say no, we are okay. If they say yes, there's where we put our experts. And again, remember, we are 4, that's why CXO4, we are 4 partners that are C-level executives. One from Microsoft. She was a customer success expert for Microsoft globally. The other one from Accenture, that she was the CMO of Avane, the joint venture between Accenture and Microsoft. Myself, that I was a GM for IBM for ecosystems, but I also did it in several companies. And Jose, that he is ecosystem expert, he worked with me in IBM. So this is people that have managed thousands of people. This is people that know the drill in several countries and in several aspects. So they will help you fast to get where you want. So that was the example, one of the examples. The other one is what I call geo expansion, right? Many times customers from the US want to have a nearshore operation, or customers in the US want to expand and have their operation in Latin America. Or Latin America companies want to come to the US and they think that it's like, oh, okay, I go, yes. Wait. You need to understand certain things, right? You need to understand the culture, the rules, the non-written rules. That nobody will tell you because they are not written. So how do you incorporate that in your company without having to use all your people to do that and lose the momentum of your actual market? So those are other things that we do, and we have done it with many clients. And in those cases, some of them are ready. We have several Latin America clients. Some of them are ready and they want to invest and they know how to do it and we help them. Other ones want to do it in the wrong way. And what I tell them is, hey, pause. So I do an assessment for them and I said, here, and here, you are red. You're not ready. If you do it, you will just waste money and time. Let's be ready with these 3 things and then I help you get into the market. So that prevents them to lose time and money. That is how, and also I always say the brain time, your brain focus, the CEOs, the owners of the companies, they have little time to put their minds and their brains on. They have to put them on the right moment and at the right time, because if not, they lose momentum on their own company. So it's very dangerous to just go without really understanding if you're ready.
Yeah. The fractional leadership, I think, is something that is transformative for businesses today. Fractional leadership is the future, right? Because companies can, as you were just explaining, bring in C-level executives to fill roles at a fraction of the cost, but in a way that the current and the existing leaders of a company don't need to fractionalize their own thinking to achieve these other tasks, and they can stay laser focused on that primary goal. There's some pretty prominent challenges for fractional consultants today in the market, though, right? I mean, if we look at the state of the economy, whatever is causing certain things, whether it's politics, whether it's international affairs and everything to be considered, it seems that fractional consultants at times are the first to go, right? The first to be cut out at times. People are looking to reduce costs. Sure, they're using AI, or they're thinking AI can replace consultants in some situations as well. The consulting landscape in general is difficult today, we could say. So when we're looking at CXO4 and what it is that you're seeing when it comes to growth, client acquisition is one of the biggest challenges we're all facing today because of everything that's going on. There's a bunch of noise in the market, AI generated slop that's being sent out there, just this general state of mistrust, trying to connect with businesses who you can help, but who perhaps undervalue what it is that you do. So Carola, when we're talking about client acquisition being one of the biggest challenges that the audience faces, for CXO4, what are the biggest challenges that you're observing moving into 2026 when it comes to acquiring the right type of clients?
Well, I have to say that we are pretty lucky so far because still I am in the point that they are reaching to us instead of us reaching, probably because we are not trying to get to a scale yet. I'm not trying to get to have thousands of clients because I want to ensure that I do it more personally still. So probably because of that. But I recognize that there is a challenge to many consultants. What we are doing in particularly in CXO4 is, I think that is what is helping. That is not that we are trying to give you a fractional and that's all. What we are trying is, let me understand your situation as a company. Because we are XC level on all go-to-market, we can have a 360 view of your go-to-market, understand what you are trying to do, and scope it in a way that you will definitely spend less money and less time to do what you want to do. And we have very clear KPIs. The other thing is, and only then is that we scope who is the right fractional, and we have fractionals working with us. I mean, we are the C-level fractionals, but then we have like subject matter experts on depending on the situation that they can help, and also a nearshore operation for the roles that are really lower level that they can use, like the center of excellence that I used to do many years ago. So basically, what we are not struggling because of that, because the assessment is first of all, is fast and is low cost, and then it's a go no go. If it is a go, it's because you will have good results. If not, I will not risk it. I will not tell you go. So that's why I feel that we are not having that challenge. The other thing is, I'm not sure this is very polite to say, but the reality is we, the four of us, don't need to work. We do it because we love it. So if we perceive a client doesn't need us or is not going to get more value than the cost, we resign. So we tell the client, this is not working for you. We switch it or we do something different ourselves. So that's I mean, I know that not everybody's in that situation. And that is a bless that we have.
There's one thing we can pull out of what you just shared with us. I mean, I think the most important thing is the positioning. One of the most important things is the positioning that you take, right? You're putting yourself in a position that when you connect with people, you can more clearly articulate the value that you bring to the table over others, right? Because you have a perfect and clear understanding of exactly how you can help your clients. Not necessarily taking a generalist approach like many people do, not trying to solve all problems, but by being able to come and say, this is the value that we deliver and this is why we do so. Not focusing on the deliverables themselves, but the results that come with those deliverables or the expertise. And being in a position where you can honestly say to somebody, we're not a good fit. That not only builds trust in them, and I wouldn't be surprised if you've gotten referrals from people who you've turned away or stopped working with exactly because of that, but it also builds confidence within the team as well, knowing that you're doing the right thing, you're moving in the right direction, and you're staying focused on your goal with what's really important in mind at the end of the day. It's an excellent model and an excellent position that you have.
The other thing is that these subject matter experts that really are fractionals as well, like potential sales or potential marketing people or potential customer success leaders, we give them the framework. So we tell them, hey, this is the best. Of course, they have their expertise, so they will tweak it to the need of their company. But we help them across the way with the client. So if there is a consultant in this audience that is an expert on medical devices, I'm saying whatever industry, and they are not finding the right clients, or they don't even want to find clients because what they are experts are in medical devices. That is also happening, right? Consultants are experts on something and they have to go and end up selling. I'm happy to work with them, understanding what their expertise is, framing it very well. So when I have a client of those characteristics, I will pull that consultant in myself.
It sounds like you're working from a place of true passion and desire to help others, right? With the experience that you had. You said it yourself, you and your partners, you don't need to work, but it's the desire to work for the impact that you can have. Yes. When we're looking at, businesses working through impact, they often achieve the best results with clients, but it also puts them in a position, and not that you're in this position, but for certain individuals and consultants, that the passion that they take and the results that they drive because of that have them in the fortunate yet unfortunate position where they get great referrals and they grow their business off of referrals, but they have a hard time breaking out of that. Now, right now, you're happy and you're having clients come to you knocking on your door. But for the listeners who are maybe in that position where they're reliant on referrals and they want to scale their impact more, but are having a difficult time breaking out of the position where, they're waiting for someone to knock on their door. Do you have any insights from your experience or strategies that you might advise them to start using to start taking a more direct approach to client acquisition for more scale and impact?
Yeah, first, definitely that is the situation with not only consultants, with companies itself. And secondly, yes, there's a lot of noise in the market, specifically because there's a lot of AI going on that is not very well organized, right? Mm-hmm. So you said it before, the trust. Companies don't know who to trust. People don't know who to trust. Are you real or you're not real? Is this a spam or is not a spam? Is this a person or is an AI? So is this going to be, this is safe or not? Because also the problem of cybersecurity is out there. So how do you trust that person? And honestly, first of all, definitely referrals work because of that, because it's people that trust people. And secondly, what I do suggest usually doing some marketing campaigns and marketing campaigns with AI many times, but they have to be well done. And I know, David, that you have a lot of good experience on that.
Absolutely. And, we're talking about growth right now. We're talking about strategy. We're talking about what's necessary to attract the right type of clients and have yourself in the right position. AI is an extremely powerful tool today for doing so, done in the way exactly as you're saying, Carola. There's a lot of mistrust out there. There's just a lot going on that have people in a position where they don't know who to trust. Maybe they don't want to open email. They don't want to take a phone call. It's difficult to know which direction to go, but the most fundamental and most important thing is maintaining humanity through the process. AI is a tool and it can enhance your output and your efficiency, but you can't hand off the results and let AI try and take that human-centric approach, especially when it comes to marketing and attraction for the right type of clients. Now, Carola, when we're talking about AI, tell us a little bit more about, with the position you're in and the values you have in your business, where does AI start to come into play to give you an advantage so that you can maintain the human-focused aspect of what's really fundamental to consulting?
So first of all, we use a lot of AI. I began using it a lot, but to help our clients. Of course, if I use AI, I will have much more information, much more 360 degrees of vision than what I can have myself. It's an obvious thing. So we use a lot of AI on research, market research, on everything that has to do with the specific industry of our client, to learn very quickly, to have different advices. In fact, I use different AI, of course, because you want to ensure that you have again the 360 view, and basically, and of course, I can write an email, put it nicer using AI, or I can write my blog and pass it through AI to ensure that I don't have a big, especially I'm not American, so I have to, still my English is not the best. So okay, I use it, it's good for me. But I don't rely 100% on AI doing everything for me. Of course, AI is on my calls. I bring a read AI or any video AI for them to listen to a conversation, make the summary. All that works, all that helps, but it cannot be the only thing. For example, I am not comfortable sending Carola AI to a call and not me not being on that call. There are people that do it. I can't. Still, maybe I'm waiting to see, but I feel that would break trust. So that is the way that we use it, and we are being much more productive, of course, because of that. And we help our clients, for example, in this execution that I was telling you in the first case. We used a lot of AI to understand the data of the different, for example, there are a lot of RFPs going on from the government. You may know, thousands per day. Okay, we are using AI to distinguish which ones are best for each of the 100 partners that are working with us, so that the right RFPs are going to go to the right partner. But before sending them, we look at them ourselves still, right? But definitely that increased our productivity 100%. So AI is good, but you cannot take that humanity out. I totally agree with you.
So what you're really focused on with AI is effectiveness, efficiency, and accuracy, right? You can save time and you can enhance your output. And this is the approach that everyone should be taking, whether it's to, human capital, whether it's to marketing, whether it's to anything within your business. Well, I'd love for you to share a little bit more insight about AI when it comes to where everyone's going wrong with it these days. And I'm going to elaborate here. What I mean is that so many people are looking at AI as an opportunity to reduce their overhead, reduce their human capital, save time, subtract. I believe it should be an addition, a multiplier. Now, you yourself have seen and witnessed and gone through some pretty extreme reductions in human capital at IBM, with the story that you shared with us earlier. From your perspective, as a leader who helps companies make hard decisions about human capital, when it comes to AI and the thought process of reducing human capital and replacing people with AI, what are the biggest risks and opportunities as well for organizations when assessing where to start using AI to, yes, save time, but to more importantly, increase output?
I think it's not a black and white. That's why it's difficult, right? Because it's not black and white. But you have a very good point. I haven't thought about it. How you really connect with what happened to me in 2001, that there was almost no technology, to now. What would I have done in 2001 if I had AI, right? That comparison, I never made it. I will do a blog on that. But basically, I think you have a very good point. What we decided in that moment was to cut services directly because no hands, no services. What I would do now is some of the services, maybe I could keep the lights on because I can automate them and they don't need to have a person, or in most of we could do self-serve, let's call it self-serve type of services that in that moment we couldn't, and reduce cost. I would definitely do that today, and definitely that is working in these days if you are very clear. But also sometimes it's preferable to not have that service than to have a more or less one because you don't have people and you're trusting an AI. That still somebody has to monitor it. Somebody has to see that the end-to-end is working. You will never go to zero in hands, in people that has to really understand if that is working or not working for the sake of your clients. I would think is a gray area because some processes definitely can be automated, definitely can be used by AI, you can have agents of AI being worked by one person, and that reduces a lot of the cost and that reduces a lot of the complexity. Now, that is a project. That will not happen from one day to the other. You have to devote a lot of your brain time to make that project happen.
So it's cutting out the fluff and those unnecessary things that are really the most important. And what I would say here is that if you're sitting down as a business owner looking at where can I use AI, the question shouldn't be how much can I use it in every aspect. There should be some pretty immediate and obvious answers as to what can it do quickly and easily, and what should I stay focused on myself. You don't want to offload everything. If you have to sit down and think and ask yourself, can an AI do this? Not from a level of understanding of is it capable, but can I remove myself from this entirely and replace me completely? Then the answer is no. Right? It needs to be obvious, and you need to understand very quickly, is this pulling me away from my goal, or is it going to give me the ability to move further towards it? Right? Am I going to be able to have a greater impact as a result of using AI, or am I just trying to save myself some time and money at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be used. I feel that it's like you have to incorporate AI where it makes sense, but you cannot incorporate AI just because everybody is incorporating AI. Exactly. So everybody's like, I need to incorporate AI. Where can I put it? No, the question should be, look, this process is taking 80%, usually all companies, 80% of the investment is to keep the lights on. Okay, of that 80%, what is the 80% of that 80%? Okay, this process, number one, is 50%, number two is 20. And then you have 1,000 processes that are 10. Okay, how do you automate that 50% so that you liberate these people's brain to grow your business, but at the same time, you leave some people because you will reduce that 50% of investment to 25, and you can then reinvest that 25% in another thing. But don't try to do it just because everybody's doing it. That is what I'm feeling that is happening. I remember asking someone, are you using AI? And they tell me, oh yeah, we brought a consultant to see where we can put AI. And I'm like, Okay, but you don't know which one you think is. So it's like a consultant can help you with these questions, of course, but you as a business owner need to know where are your investments and where you need to put AI to make them more effective. And you have to have humanity through it.
Three more. Carola, your story covers global leadership, strategic adaptation, and the art of making tough decisions about human capital. For the listeners out there who are navigating their own growth shift and in pursuit of growth, what's the single most important piece of advice that you would leave them with about making intentional decisions for long-term success?
So beginning with yourself as a person, be clear, be very clear on what you want, be perseverant on what you want, and communicate it to everybody.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your lessons with the audience today. For anyone out there who might like to learn more about what you're doing at CXO4, or perhaps they're in pursuit of a fractional help themselves, or they might like to just continue the conversation, what would be the best way to find you?
Okay, my email is carola.cazenave, so my name dot last name at cxo4.tech, so you can send me an email. I'm in LinkedIn. I mean, name and last name, there are not many, likely. Carola Cazenave, I think, is only me. So you can find me on LinkedIn. And definitely, my website is CXO4Tech. So you can get there as well and contact me through there. So I would be happy to continue any conversation with potential fractionals or with potential companies that want to understand how we can help them.
Thanks again for joining us today on The Growth Shift.
Thank you, David, for having me.
Another powerful conversation on The Growth Shift. If you, like our guests, are ready to turn your expertise into a predictable, scalable growth engine, one that eliminates the grind of prospecting and enhances your high-value relationships, then it's time to connect with Valentix. We are not a marketing agency. We are your strategic growth partner, building intelligent systems that ensure your client acquisition is predictable, not dependent on chance. To see how our AI-powered frameworks can free up your time and fill your calendar with decision makers, visit valentix.io. Thank you for joining us on The Growth Shift. We'll see you next time.